Okay, Sal, here we are with another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. How's it going?
Doing wonderful. Another great day at Premier Companies.
Absolutely. We're going to we're date ourselves again like we normally do, and it's Memorial Day weekend, going to be 87 to 89, maybe low 90s all weekend. So we thought we'd bring Scott Heyne in, our LP sales for commercial and residential, to talk about home heat.
Great time to be talking about home heat.
yeah. It should be easy for you this weekend. So, Scott, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. So we want to talk a little bit about your go-to-market strategy with our programs, and what does Premier Energy offer from the LP side as far as how do we go get our customers? I mean, you're in sales. How do we address that? How are we going out there and addressing our potential customers and taking care of the ones we already have? And then you have commercial and residential both in your title, so clearly we'll service anyone as far as LP goes. So if you have credit,
that's exactly right. Yep. That's part of the process. I mean, when we get the phone call for a prospective new customer, I go out and meet with them. I do a site survey, get the paperwork that we need to have set up to get them a new account based on the credit approval. And then at that point, I turn it over to our service tech. So I get everything ready as to what they're going to need to have. The service techs will come out there, get the tank installed, and at that point, we'll follow up with their delivery driver, and he'll make the delivery of the LP gas to the tank.
What are you looking for in a site survey? Just kind of if we can get to the tank, or where they plan on putting it, or do you give them some advice about, if a new location, kind of where they should put the tank locations? Yeah,
we try to work with them as to, where they're wanting to have it at. There's some parameters that, that has to be 10 feet away from the house or any type of structure. We have to be able to reach it with our LP hoses, which runs about 100 to 110 feet. Wow. So we have to keep that in mind. A lot of times, we wish we had invisible paint for these tanks, but we don't. So you have to set it where they can have, the aesthetic view that they want to have. There's people that will build three-side fence around the tanks. They will also maybe put some landscaping around there. But, from that standpoint, it's up to the homeowner as to how they want to do that. But I mean, they work with us, and from the standpoint of trying to get the tank where they want it at, but also from where we have to have it at. So we try to compromise.
Back in the old days, a big pile of firewood was a sign of prosperity. So we could say that a propane tank out behind the house, a big tank, would be a sign of prosperity.
Well, mine's too aesthetically pleasing, because I spent half a day last weekend trying to figure out how to keep the birds that were building in underneath the lid out of it. So apparently it looked home-worthy. So.
Yeah, I've had some surprises when I go out and look at some of these tanks that are already existing. I mean, the bird nests, or a couple of times I ran into some snakes, and I had one mouse farm come out of one.
And hornets, or yellow jackets, or wasps, they love LP tanks.
Yep. Now, we've got a little guard that we started, and we ran out of them. We'll have to get some more, but it would go in that gap, so it would help eliminate at least the bigger things.
Yeah, let me know what that costs. I'd love to have one.
I'll see if I can find one of those for you.
So as you start to talk, once you get that site survey, and I will give a little background. I've set one LP tank in my life. I really didn't set it, but the guy who was setting the tank, he said, "I don't want to pull that trailer." That was back when we had the Brindle trailers that we cranked them down by hand. So anyway, he said, "I don't think I can get that put into that house, into that yard where it needs to go." So he's like, "Can you go and drive?" I said, "Sure." And I can tell you that if the intent is to have an LP tank that's level, this guy didn't think ahead when he built his house, because it was, I don't know how many stacks of blocks that we had and digging. One end was down, and it just blocks it up. When we pulled in the driveway, I thought, this thing's going to roll off the trailer if we unhook it. But anyway, so yeah, we can appreciate what that service tech group does whenever they go out and do that, because it's, man, they put them everywhere.
We are blessed with the service techs that we've got. I mean, they've got some experience, and we've got a new service tech coming in, and he seems to be working out really well. But they know what they're doing, and they've done a nice job of getting, not only getting the tank set, but relating with the customer. So,
and this is not exactly one of the things that we had on our list, but what's our responsibility to the house? I mean, people have different expectations of if they have a house full of gas appliances, what's our responsibility as a propane supplier as far as when we leak check and how far do we go in? And let's talk about that for just a minute. Safety is a big thing when it comes to
Sure. And what you're looking at there is that the homeowner is responsible for getting the appliances to the outside where they will stub it out. We will run the line from the tank to that stub out where we put the regulator on. But then at that point, then we are responsible for doing the pressure safety checks. So we do that while the homeowner's there. We make sure everything is good to go before we leave, and then they sign off, and everything at that point is ready.
Okay, good.
And that's the pressure check to the stub out, or is that the whole system?
It goes through the whole system because,
pretty
what
cool.
we're looking at is obviously what we've put in the line there, but it has to run all to the furnace, the cook stove, the fireplaces. We check each appliance. So
I tell you, with so many different devices now, with the fireplace inside inserts and all these other things, that's pretty cool that we go through and just double check all the systems, make sure it's all good before we head out.
Oh yeah, it is, and propane's a safe fuel and it's a clean fuel, but our guys have done an extremely well job of keeping that safety first.
I didn't realize you could move the hoses were that long, 100 to 110 feet. That gives you quite a bit of flexibility where you would even put the tank on a home site.
Oh yeah. I mean, and we've got some that want to go a little bit further, but obviously your limitations of what you can do there. And we try not to get too far out a lot because it's a lot. I wouldn't want to carry the hose myself. So we do have some guys that, we try to work with that and make sure that, we are close to where they need to be and also at a place where the customer wants to have it. So
good.
But shout out to my LP driver, Mike Goodman, because I put the tank to right where he probably only has to unroll about 6 foot of hose. There's only about 14 minutes a year where he could actually get to that spot. The rest of the time, it takes all 110 feet to get to it. So bless his heart.
Yeah, I do get some thank yous from some of the delivered drivers, and then some other times where I get some, what were you thinking? But it's try to balancing act with the customer. And
but you see the pictures of the fire hose that runs through the car that after they park beside the fire hydrant. I told him, I said, just go through the shop. It's fine. Just go just go through it. So,
I was at a place, farmer's place, beautiful farm down in Clark County. And I was there with the growers, and they talked about, they was bragging about their propane driver. And I was looking around, I was at their shop, and I go, where's your tank? And it was like, oh, it's down there. And it was down a hill at the base of that hill, but you couldn't even see it. And I was like, oh, I bet you are bragging about it. Because he's got a mountain climb to get, he could roll down, but he's got to climb back up.
Yeah, we keep him in shape.
Yeah, they always do a nice job too. In the summer, there's a crew that comes around and we repaint them, relabel them if they're into those positions
we'll look at that.
well. So.
And and if somebody needs to have it, they can call in and we'll put them on the list to get that taken care of. But yes, we do. I mean, it's something that we try to take pride in, that make sure we got the tanks clean, we've got them, properly working, and we do that once a year, taking a look at that as well. So,
well, how do we buy this stuff? I mean, how do we tell us some of the options? I guess as far as a homeowner, we want to start with home heat.
Sure, let's start with home heat.
From the home heat, the programs that we have, basically we've got what we call a gold cap on delivery, and again, what it does is it gives us some price protection. So it's got a cap that's on there, but if the price would happen to drop below that cap, you'll still get the lower price. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, and that has been probably the most well-received program that we've got. To go off of that as well, we've got what we call the gold cap budget. And the only difference on that is you've got 11 months to pay it. So it lets you spread out the payments on the LP gas that you're using for the year for 11 months. And then at the end of the term, then we settle up. If you used a little bit more or a little bit less, you may have a credit or you may owe a little bit more money. So from that standpoint, the homeowner's got those two options if you want to go into some type of a gold cap where it limits the top end of that.
So let me ask real quick. So you're obviously making an assessment of how many gallons you're going to use, which if you have some history with that customer, that's one thing you can do. How do you do that on a new home set?
You kind of look at the size of the home, what type of a furnace it is, what appliances that they have, and you try to do the best you can on that. So, I mean, from that standpoint, you'll get close. And like you said before, I mean, once we got that history with them, then it's kind of easy to follow that. But until that point, you've got the 1 year sort of trial and error, and you try to be close.
I got a question. Can we go back to that gold cap on delivery? So that seems like, explain that for me one more time. It seems like the homeowner kind of wins all the time. How's this possible to do explain it one more time, I guess, for me. Would they get the lower price if the price goes down?
Yeah, what we look at is if you go in and let's just say the price is $1.50 a gallon, and we've got a gold cap price of $2 a gallon. So if anytime during that time, if the price stays at $2 or below, you'll get that price. If the price would go to $4 a gallon, it still stays at $2. It's capped at that $2. So it's kind of a win-win for the customer that, if the markets do go down, they take advantage of it. If the markets go up, they've got a cap as to where they're not going to pay over that for that season.
That sounds like
So it's been very good. I mean, it's a really nice program.
And the gold cap budget, that's the same thing, but with the payment?
Same idea, except for you've got 11 months to pay it. So, I mean, basically what you do over that is you just pay a X amount that we determine based on the usage, and then the 11 months. And then, like I said, at the end of the period, then you just settle up. So either you've got a credit or a debit that's coming to your account. And both of those are offered with, approved credit. So, and in the payment, I mean, from the payment itself, I mean, we can do the ACH. You can go online and pay now, or you can just still pay off your invoice and just mail a check to us. So
everything from old fashioned to
that's right. We're trying to make
electronic
some
funds transfers.
Yep.
Okay.
And both of those programs are set up on Autofill. So all that means is you don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, it's just we take care of it for you. You don't have to monitor your tank. That's not to say if we went through an extremely cold snap that maybe you'd want to go out there and check it periodically just to make sure that it's not getting too low. But once it gets into that 20 to 30% range, we're generally wanting to get there and get that filled at that point. So, but we do watch that.
You had I think you'd asked me one time, can you kind of explain how the drivers kind of know when they're supposed to do the autofill? Because you had me check a tank one time at my parents' house, and you just kind of, I was like, how would you know that? But you're like, hey, we was going into a long weekend or something, maybe a holiday, and you said, hey, just go check that tank level and see where that's at.
Well, when we picked up your dad's account at that point, I said, again, we weren't sure how much they use. And I said, I don't want to we're making some assumptions on that new account. When we get into the other accounts, they go off of degree days. So they're sort of looking at, what the temperature is doing and what on average you should be using at this point. They put you into a route. But when we got these new accounts, like we did with your father, I mean, I don't want to take any chances that he may be using more than what we think he's going to be using. So, and that's where it's nice to be. I'll do that periodically myself. I'm out driving around. I'll go by and look at some of the new accounts that I just set up just to make sure that they're not using more gas than what I thought they would be using or, what we anticipated. So it's just another added protection service just to make sure that we're okay.
You have another program as well.
We've also got prepay on the home heat. So, I mean, and basically what you're doing on the prepay is you just pay for that up front, and we base it off of a price that we're going to lock you in for those gallons. So if you think you're going to use 1,000 gallons and that's what you wanted to prepay for, then that's what we put on there is the 1,000 gallons. And again, it's just a single payment that you make at the time of enrollment. And then it's an autofill, and any kind of remaining credit, if you didn't use all the gas you prepaid, it's just put back onto your account. So it doesn't go anywhere. If you're using more than what you thought you were going to need, then it just comes out of whatever the market price is at that point in time. So you'll go through the prepay. If it does need more than that, then you go into what they call our market or delivery price for the day off the truck is.
We had a lot of experiences this past winter where folks weren't allowed to prepay or buy more propane from their other suppliers, our competitors. And it seemed like we were able to take care of a lot of folks that were having trouble with their current suppliers. How does Premier Ag, I mean, I don't guess without revealing any trade secrets, how do we do that? I mean, it seems like I came to you with several situations where I had friends or acquaintances that were buying somewhere else propane, and they were having trouble with their supplier, but yet you pulled something off, and it seems like that's pretty normal that we have customers that come to us and they're not satisfied with their current suppliers, but yet we still have capacity to take on these new accounts.
Yeah, we'll go out and we'll contract gas, and we've got usually a number of positions that we'll take at different locations. So we're trying to get as much gas as what we can possibly have. And, and again, it's kind of a balancing act for what they're doing upstairs in that area as to the procurement of LP gas. And we have had a number of years where people couldn't get it from their supplier, but we had enough supply here. And it's nice to have the Reddington location here, in our backyard. So, that is a benefit for us. And we have made we've generated some new accounts out of that just because they couldn't get it from their current supplier, and we did have supply. Now, there's some different, pricing that we'll do at that point, with that. But, it's still, the bottom line is they can still get gas when they need it. So, but, yeah, they've done a nice job upstairs with getting that procured and having product when we need it. I don't know that there's been some years where it's been tight, and, we've gone back and we've maybe not filled 100%, but maybe we filled 50% of their needs just to make sure we got everybody through. So, it's kind of a juggling act at that point, but knock on wood, we've never had any issues where we've had no supply of
I think it was
product.
4 or 5 years ago, we had folks calling us from states away.
Oh, yeah.
And we take care of our customers first.
We were scrambling, and we made sure we got the customers that we had taken care of, and we were very selective on trying to do that. If we needed to. Because from the standpoint, that's the one thing you don't want to do is run out of gas for your existing customers. So, we did a nice job of balancing that, and we did pick up some accounts. Now, we also had to get really, we had to monitor that as to what we were doing.
So you talked about what'd you call it? Autofill. They don't have to go on autofill if they're not on those two things. They can call, but you might go through that process if you do run out of gas. There's consequences to that.
Sure, and we've got a 24/7 service. But there are some fees that come with that. So as if someone elects to go off of the route or the autofill program, then they can obviously do that. The pricing is not as favorable, but some people like having that control. If they do run out, then we try to get them within 3 business days of trying to get gas into that. Now, if they want to have it right away, we can do that, but there's a cost that's with that. So, from that standpoint, there is some cost to that privilege, if you will. So, but we do have that happen periodically.
Well, I think I've used the example before as Christmas Day is the afternoon. I know that's not normal, but there was a Premier Ag truck on the road, and I was like, somebody had a really bad problem, and that's not normal. We don't want to, we don't want to be out there on holidays and anything else. But someone that day had a really bad problem, and there was a driver helping somebody get out of a bad spot. So
and that's why we push the autofill so much.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that it is convenient for us, and and it makes it a lot simpler for us to manage that segment of gas, and it doesn't throw you out of route. Because the guys could be on the other side of the county or 2 counties away, and it's not possible to get over there. So we try to work best we can with the customer and get them taken care of. But sometimes the limitations are tough. Try to get that in, but that's why we do push the autofill.
I've seen some new trucks. Good time for them to do that, wasn't it? I've seen some shiny new trucks showing up. It seems like replacing a lot of existing propane trucks with some new, newer and better high-tech looking trucks out there.
Yeah, we've had some new trucks come in. Not only do we have, top of the line service guys and delivery drivers, but our equipment. I see, we're bringing in equipment that, looks nice. It's well maintained. We don't have any leaks on your driveway from oil or anything else like that. But yeah, they've done a nice job with that. And you'll also see on the LP trucks, they've got a marketing piece with the Fueling the Cure. And with that, what we've been doing now for about 8 years on the trucks, every stop that we make, we donate $1 for cancer research. And like I said, we've done that for, I think it's been right about 8 years now. So you'll see that on the trucks too. It used to be the pink trucks, and now those are starting to go to the wayside, and now we've got the Fueling the Cure logo as part of the marketing on the new trucks that we're getting in.
So every stop
that we make,
$1 goes to
cancer research. Mm-hmm.
To put that in,
there's like 20,000 tanks.
I was going to say that's not small.
No.
$1 doesn't sound like much until you talk about 20,000 of them.
Yeah. And it's amazing the people that have made comments on that and how much they appreciate that, because they've had loved ones that either have cancer or they've lost to cancer, and and we get a number of requests to have those trucks in the parades too. So I see, it's kind of a cool thing. I mean.
Yeah, and who would have thought that it would have gotten this big as whenever.
Oh yeah.
We make this many stops a year. $1 is no small number. So that's kind of neat.
Yep. It's been very well received.
No. So we were joking about it being 90 degrees and not a lot to deal with the propane. But this is the time of year that people, if they are thinking about making a change, if there's homes going in, clearly the home building is no shortage. We were talking about home prices before we started. And so there's a lot of homes going up. A lot of people maybe thinking about making changes with suppliers, but summer's the time to do that. So you want to talk about a little bit about summer fill and how these programs, when will these roll out? Our customers are going to see something. How would new potential customers find out about what's going on?
Well, summertime is the best time, because you do have the summer fill, and historically speaking, the summer fill price is the best price you're going to see for the year. We've got a lot of marketing pieces out. We've done some advertising. We hope that, when the guys are out with the trucks doing their summer fills, that, that people see that Premier truck out there. And if they are looking for a new supplier, they can call us here at the office, or they can go on premierag.com and request information as to, being a new customer. We would love to have anybody that's interested in at least giving us a shot, proving our worth. So
that sounds, contact us is easy. Go to premierag.com and just pretty much anybody that you, there's a spot there, request form, and that'll initiate the whole process.
Right. And then I'll get in contact with you or Bill House. He's one of our other sales guys up north. So they'll funnel that out to where it needs to be, or Harrison, Ohio. So, they could all go through that Premier.
And on the west side, there's CJ and Andy Padgett on the west side.
Andy Padgett on the west side, yep.
Very good.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time. Have we covered everything you wanted to cover?
I think we've got everything. And then we should be having the pricing coming out probably in about the next 2 to 3 weeks is what we're shooting for. So, and then we'll be looking at grain dryer and everything else at that point too. So
the expectations are 90 degrees and sun this weekend. So maybe there'll be some grills burning. That's why.
That's right. Yeah.
A lot of grills burning.
That's exactly right.
All right. Well, that's another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. Scott, thank you very much. We look forward to having you back.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Scott.